in order, please. If we could, we'd like to ask everybody to join us in a pledge of allegiance to start off our meeting. I'll ask Mrs. Lucas to start, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That sounded good, guys. It's nice having you here.
A little harmony. Okay, our first action will be the approval of the October the 16th meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move. Second.
Mr. Curry makes a motion, Ms. Smith makes a second. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye, please. Any opposed? Okay, being all yes vote. Okay. I think we have Jonathan Tackett, FFA and FFA alumni. Boy, we pull out the big guys tonight. Is Mr. Smith a part of that alumni group?
Yes, he is.
I just wanted to make sure.
Please don't hold us against us.
Okay.
He's not allowed to speak. We put a gaggle with him.
Thank you. Now, we're glad to have you all with us tonight. Jonathan, good to see you again. And we're willing to listen to your proposal. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you all for allowing us to be here. And the reason it says FFA alumni and FFA is we hope with your approval that we will start on a joint venture at the new high school to construct a facility that'll look similar to this, different in color, but the same dimensions and everything will be accurate. Since the FFA has been a part of the high school, I've been a part also. And since that time, we've been working pretty diligently on constructing a building, like a facility like this for the program. But through the years where we've changed teachers and grant money has come and gone, and stipulations with building facilities have come and gone, we've now reached the point where I think it's actually feasible to do this. We have enough support, enough volunteers, and enough resources at hand that we could complete this task with your approval. I have a detailed plan that I want to go over with you about this building. But first I want to go over the key points why this program needs this building and needs it indefinitely, is because the school has increased the vocational programs. We now no longer have a bay facility on the backside of the high school to store our farm equipment or the school's farm equipment inside of. So now the Board of Education and Hamlin High School has $100,000 plus worth of equipment that's now being set outside and rusting, and we have had to, over the course of time, get rid of some of that, because if we didn't, it would lose its ultimate value and it would be a waste. Because of the facility not being there, I think it kind of set this program back a little bit because of some of the key pieces of equipment that we've had to get rid of because there was nowhere to store. That has kind of set us back a few steps. The other reason for this facility is, some of you all might be aware, the school and the program started off with a biodiesel program for the FFA. And it started up and it went really strong for a couple of years. But then over the time space became less available, they had to start scaling back. And then for different reasons that I will not mention here, they were told that it couldn't be warehoused in the school setting. Now, one of those reasons was because of its flammability. And this was brought up by an educator that's no longer with the school system. But with your permission, I want to demonstrate something so everybody in this room and the community is clear of something. Right now, diesel fuel this morning was $4.19 a gallon. For this program to continue on this coming year with all the things that they have in mind to do, we're going to essentially use 300 gallons of diesel fuel with their farm equipment, with the transportation of equipment to different sites. Right now, that's going to put us at $1,257 before we even put a plow on the ground. But with the biodiesel facility going, we can successfully make biodiesel for 70 cents a gallon or less, which would cut that cost down to $210 for the entire year. Now, John Smith here is safeguarding something, and with the board's permission, I want to show you something. One of the problems with was a teacher brought up that biodiesel was flammable. Now, I went with Mr. Ryan Sachs, one of the principals and teachers, to North Carolina, and I tested this before I came in here. The first thing was, he made a comment that biodiesel it harmed his allergies. Well, that's possibly true, but if that was the case, somebody would have to go out and pump his diesel fuel or his gasoline in his car for him. Because there's nothing in this that is not in regular petroleum or any other fuel out there that you would get to this board meeting with. The only difference is biodiesel is a non-flammable material, but it's less flammable than diesel fuel itself. Biodiesel fuel can only be used when under extreme pressure in diesel motors. This facility we're going to build, in the back part of it, and I believe Mr. Midkiff, if you want to understand the layout of what the building would have in it, the back of this building is going to have the biodiesel plant. It's going to consist of a processing plant that has 2 containers that they can make 80 gallons of fuel every 24 hours. It'll have a 650-gallon storage tank, and it'll also have the capabilities to make biodiesel during the winter months, because unlike diesel fuel you'd get at a gas station, this has no additives in it to keep it from gelling in the winter. So under temperatures below 33 degrees, this will actually gel up to the consistency of some type of goo or some of the synthetic motor oils in cold conditions. But biodiesel is not flammable at all. Now that right there proves the point that it would be no harm to any of these students regarding flammability. I think it's important that we focus on biodiesel for a couple of reasons. Our job is to educate these kids, but truth be told, you can give them a math book, but if you teach them the art of making money, which I've come to find out is one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned, then that will influence them and encourage them to go the next step. Well, I just gave you the numbers on financially why it would be an incentive for them to learn this. And myself, I intend on using this on my particular farm to cut down my overall costs. I've been fortunate enough in this program that I've saw the benefit of that. And in seeing the benefit of that, I've saw the educational value of going to these things and learning these different aspects of science and biology, because that's what this is. You can make that right there out of peanut oil, used cooking oil, and many other crops, such as corn and other things. There's a couple of more reasons for this facility, and one of them is the preservation of the equipment. We need dry conditions other than the auto mechanics lab or shop that we wouldn't have access to on the weekends when our volunteers are free. Like myself, Mr. Pridemore, Mr. Smith, my stepfather, Melvin Black, people that have spent a lifetime in fixing these mechanical issues with these different pieces of equipment and using their knowledge to teach these kids how to do the same. The second is, I'm sure everybody is aware that the FFA has an auction every spring and fall. Now, Ms. Butler has decided that it would be better for the program if we possibly cut that back to one auction, simply because the FFA has a lot of things to focus on in the fall, and that's a lot of work in a month's period. We encountered that last year when we had a teacher leave, and I had to get with the alumni had to get with the school system to make sure the kids got to all their competitions. We kept all their fundraisers going. That's a lot of work in a month. With a facility like this, it would make it better because we could eventually install some form of bleachers like at Hammond High School that fold up inside of the structure. So if the weather turns poorly, we can send everybody inside, and they still make the same amount of money that they made before, and people are dry and they're having a little bit better time. And another prime reason for this facility involves the Cabell County Fair. And to my understanding, the rules state for livestock auctions that these kids participate in, that if a county has a fair, then those kids have to sell their livestock or auction their livestock at their own county fair. So far, Cabell County has been very generous in allowing our kids to come over there and auction off their livestock, even though we have a county fair. Now, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, and I don't know all the details. I only hear this from several people. The fair that we have has, to my understanding, no governing body. There's no president, vice president, there's no board of approvals. So if we were to do that, there would be, I'm assuming, one person in charge of everything and making the whole decisions. That's not how auctions need to be ran, especially livestock auctions that these kids raise money for profit for their own schools. Now, granted, this facility is not to warehouse animals by no means. These kids would do that at their house. They would simply bring those animals and store those animals at that particular day of the auction, bring it through dry conditions so we could actually get it inside to where people can understand and get a better idea. And we can get better businesses in the community come and bid on these animals for these kids' college funds. Those are some of the key points why we need this building, and we need it desperately. I want to now get into the site selection for this building. I should have let John Smith run this. I'm sorry it's a little blurry. This is the most ideal location for this facility. And the reason for that is the dimensions of this area is exactly where we have our equipment auction. And it's the most accessible place if eventually the board approves and we were to have these young kids' livestock auctions at the high school, where there is a governing body and there is somebody that control that and get judges that fairly represent what they need to. The other reason for this location is the cost. If we were to move this to a different location at the high school, it would cost more money and time in site preparation. I've already put a transit on this area, and with minimal effort, we could start the foundation as soon as next month on this.
Clarify for us, please, where that is.
Yes, if you travel into the high school and you turn left towards the greenhouses, and you travel the back way around the back of the school, this would actually be directly in front of the building construction classes area. This is right past the dumpsters behind the school. One of the best reasons for this location is also cost. This little structure right here is where the school's generators are, where all of the power from the high school comes in, from what I've been told. This facility at the beginning will have no electricity because we're working on a strict budget, and we want to make sure everything we have in place gets this building complete and finished and looking good. We'll worry about the inside details later. I'll get into that in just a second. The other reason for this site is the security of this building. And I'm going to go on to the next Hey,
Jonathan, just a second.
Yes, sir.
Which side of the road, the left or the right?
it'll be on the left side. It'll be on the left side, opposite of the school.
Okay.
This is a back view of the structure. And you're gonna see two doors on the back side. These are only emergency exit doors. They have no doorknobs on the outside of the building. The reason for that is the security of the building, so we can allow some of the cameras already placed on the schools to be maybe moved or turned at a different angle to cover the entrances to this building. So no vandalism or nothing like that happens. If we put this at any other site, then we're gonna have to endeavor the cost of trying to get cameras to focus on this building so there's no vandalism or theft for any reason. Because remember, $100,000 worth of the school's equipment will be inside of this. And I can tell you right now, just as an example, some of the teachers like Jerry Kermans and the electrical teacher didn't have keys to the tractors. I went over to Stratton's and in 10 minutes I had 6 keys to all of the school's tractors. The keys to that equipment is just as easy as driving over there, going over to the school, unlocking it, getting in it, and driving it off. So that's a key point. And actually, when Mr. Sachs left, I think before that, Mr. Linville had given Mr. Sachs permission to house this farm equipment in a facility large enough at his house with written permission, so it would be secure and locked up. When Mr. Sachs left, we moved all that equipment back to the high school. And I brought up to Mr. Midkiff that we were concerned about the security. So with permission, all the farm equipment for this program is at my facility, which is 3 miles outside of town, undercover, where it's in the dry, and locked up and secure. But that's the reason for the 2 back doors. Is there any other questions about the site location?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it close to the lake?
No, ma'am.
It's not.
That was a concern we had. One of the teachers before had started construction on an area below the lake, or below the pond. When I sat down with Mr. Midkiff and then Dana Snyder, Mr. Snyder brought up the idea, would that building even be able to be insured at that location because it was below the pond? And at that time, I got some other advice that maybe we should go with this location because it's more cost effective and it's more accessible, especially with kids having to go down to that facility for the biodiesel program. What you see here is a skeletal structure of what the building would look like without any outside metal. This is from a company in Florida, which I've already received a quote from, and I have all the details of pricing if anybody would like. I didn't put it on this just so it wouldn't be out there. This is a no welding facility. Everything is bolted and it's prefabricated. So when it comes to us, it is labeled and color coded. So basically you're putting, even though it's a larger facility, you're putting Lincoln logs together. And there is a detailed manual of the installation. Now, with the board's approval, what I would like to recommend is I have all of the support to construct the foundation for this building. Now, from what I understand from the rules of the board's office, if a facility is built with volunteer labor, then there's no reason to place bids out in the community for construction. However, because of the tediousness of this, what I would like to propose is that we submit a bid, or we ask people to bid on the erection of this steel structure and the roofing material because of the height of the building, to cut down on the liability of volunteers working in those conditions. Now, safety concerns I'm going to address. I've started a commercial OSHA training online. So when the volunteers for the alumni and the FFA get to the site location, we follow every OSHA code possible for safety reasons. Hard hat safety glasses, safety vests, and I've contacted several companies that are willing to donate those items to us to save on our cost. But the skeletal structure and the roof, that's what I would like to see how much a bid would be from local contractors to erect this structure. It would save time and energy for the supporters. It also helps the building to get up quicker in the timeline to be moved forward. Right now, if volunteer labor had to put this together, I can't see this being built before May of 2014. But with a contractor erecting the structure and putting the top roof on, I could see this building being built and completed and doors on it and locks made by November of next year. If we were to get a board approval, obviously, as soon as possible. This is the front, or this would be the view of people coming around the back of the school, and this was what they would see. Obviously, the color scheme would be different. It would mimic what the softball field looks like, or as close as we possibly can. And these garage doors are, or actually all doors on this building are already in the quote from the manufacturer. So literally everything's bolted up. This first large garage door is big enough for us to park the school's combine in. I don't know if everyone knows that the school has a combine, but it does. And it's operational, and we can use it. I have no idea how to drive it. But I'm in contact with the person that sold it to the high school, and he's willing to come down and give demonstrations and some training to key individuals, not so much students, but key individuals to operate that if we get to that point in the future.